Bhavishya Purana. Om Shakti Hrim Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Sachit Ekam Brahma Hrim. Vedavyasa had a disciple named Shanatika. The sages came to Shantanika and said, "We are desirous of learning about righteous form of conduct. You are the disciple of the great Vedavyasa and have learned many words of wisdom from him. Please recite for us this sacred knowledge." "It is indeed true that I have learned much from Vedavyasa," replied Shantanika, "but that which you wish to learn still eludes me. Let me ask the great sage as to what I should recite for you." Shantanika accordingly went to Vedavyasa. "I have already taught all this to my disciple Sumanta." Vedavyasa told Shantanika, "Why don't you simply go to Sumanta? He will be able to tell you all that you wish to learn." Vedavyasa had 6 chief disciples, named Samantu, Jaimini, Paila, Vaishapayana, Shukadeva, and Lomaharshana. When Shantanika went to Sumantu, long interlocution started between the two. It is which forms the substance of the Bhavishya Purana. Brahma, said Sumantu, creates, preserves, and destroys the universe. There is no God like Brahma, no teacher like him. The sacred Vedas are his conception. He is the god of wisdom. His consort Saraswati is the goddess of wisdom. As the Rajasika Purana, the Bhavishya Purana extols Brahma to great heights. There are the primary qualities guna, sattva, all that is good, and tamas, all that is evil, are 2 of them. Rajas, passion, is a quality in between sattva and tamas, and implies the animation of passion and the enjoyment of sensual delights. In it, the operation of the affections and passion is the strongest. The conjugal predominance is given to both good and evil. This quality are identified with Brahma and the act of creation. It is in this sense that the Bhavishya Purana in a Brahma or Rajasika Purana. The learned should devote themselves to Brahma. Those and only those versed in the Vedas should install his image and build temples to him. A person who constructs a temple to Brahma goes straight to heaven and enjoys divine pleasures. If a person sweeps one of Brahma's temple, he attains the object of his desire. This is also the case even if the sweeping is done with evil intention. Prior to the creation of the universe, there was darkness and water everywhere. In this primordial darkness, Brahma created himself through his own energy. Since he was born Bhu, from himself Swayam, Brahma came to be known as Swayambhu. It was Brahma who created all the beings that populate the universe. From his mental powers he created the great sages Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Vasishka, Phrigu, Darsha, and Narada. In an ancient times, success automatically crowned human efforts. There was no need of any divine favor. People could do what they wanted to do without encountering any difficulties. Or even if difficulties were met with, they could easily be overcome. Accordingly, in other Puranas, often mentions that Brahma was born from a lotus that sprouted out of Vishnu's navel. In other accounts, Brahma's birth is attributed to an universal egg, Anga. So Brahma is Brahmanda. People thus developed an overblown sense of self-importance. They became proud, overconfident, and irreverent. "I must do something about this," thought Brahma. "I must tone down the arrogant humans. I will create a god named Ganesha. Humans will have to worship him if they desire success in their efforts." Brahma created Ganesha. No longer were ordinary men and women able to resolve their difficulties on their own. They now needed Ganesha's help. They needed to keep this god pleased and propitiated. Before embarking on any task, people would first have to seek Ganesha's favor. He would be the first god to be invoked at the undertaking of any new venture. Ganesha is accordingly called the remover of obstacle, Vignahara, and the giver of success, Siddhidatta. Ganesha gives extraordinary powers to those who are his devotees. To please Ganesha, one has to purify oneself through baths and offer the god food and flowers. Donations to Brahmanas are also recommended. Ganesha is however displeased if a person dreams of bathing in oil or is sad without reason. He is also displeased when rulers do not rule, teachers do not teach, or students do not study. Agriculture and trade do not prosper when Ganesha is displeased. The Puranas invariably state that Ganesha was the son of Shiva and his consort Parvati. The Bhavishya Purana is unique in that it attributes Ganesha's creation to Brahma himself. The most important god in Bhavishya Purana is the sun god Surya. To ensure that creation could proceed, Brahma divided his body in two. The male half came to known as Svayambhuva Manu, and the female half came to be known as Shatarupa. Through his mental powers, Manu gave birth to the 10 sons. Since these sons became Lord's party over all the subject Praja, that were there in the universe, they came to be known as Prajapatis. One of these was Daksha. In the Mahabharata and in Bhagavata Purana, Daksha is stated to have been Brahma's son. Daksha had a daughter named Aditi. The sage Kashyapa was Brahma's son, and Aditi was married to Kashyapa. An egg was a product of the union. For days nothing happened to the egg, and it was thought that the egg had died. But Kashyapa noticed that this was not quite the case and remarked, "The egg anda is not dead, Mrita." When the sun god emerged from the egg, he came to be known as Martanda. From the words Mrita and Anda, that his father Kashyapa had used Martanda was also known as Surya. Vishwakarma was the architect of the gods and had a daughter named Samjna. Samjna was married to Surya. Their children were Yama and Yamuna. Elsewhere, the Bhavishya Purana mentions that Surya and Samjna had another son named Manu. This was Savarni Manu, and it is not to be confused with Svayambhuva Manu. But Surya was so radiant that Samjna could not stand her husband's energy. She therefore created a woman named Chaya, or Nikshubha, out of her own body. Chaya looked exactly like Samjna, and it was impossible to tell the two apart. "I cannot bear my husband's brilliance," Samjna told Chaya. "Please stay here and pretend to be me. Take care of my children and under no circumstance divulge the truth." "I will do as you wish," replied Chaya. "I will not come out with the truth as long as I am not cursed. But the moment I am cursed, I will be forced to reveal that I am not Samjna." Samjna agreed to this condition and left. For a while she went and stayed with her father Vishwakarma, but she did not tell her father that she had deserted her husband. Initially, Vishwakarma thought that Samjna had come to pay him a visit. But days passed and Samjna showed no intention of returning to her husband. Her father's suspicions were aroused, and to allay these suspicions, Samjna left her father's house. She adopted the form of a mare and began to live in the kingdom known as Uttarakuru. Matsya Purana states that Samjna lived in a kingdom known as Maru, desert, not Uttarakuru. Unaware of what had happened, Surya treated Chaya as Samjna. That is, he took the shadow to be the reality. Chhaya bore Surya's children named Shrutashrava, Shrutarma and Tapati. Shrutashrava came to be known as Savarni Manu. Shrutarma becomes the planet Graha Shani, Saturn. Bhavishya Purana is slightly confused here, having earlier stated that Savarni Manu was the son of Surya and Samjna. In fact, that it was the other Purana state as well. Savarni Manu is never stated to have been the son of Chaya and Surya. Bhavishya Purana also gives a rather artificial explanation as to why Chaya and Surya's son came to be known as Savarni. This was because Samjna and Chaya have the same Sa complexion Varna. To continue with the story, Chaya's treatment of Samjna children was stepmotherly. She was special towards her own children. One day Tapati and Yamuna had a quarrel. "I curse you that you will become a river," said Tapati. "And I curse you that you too will become a river," retorted Yamuna. The Markandeya Purana has a different story to tell. Samjna could not stand the sun's God's brilliance and closed her eyes. This angered Surya, and he cursed Samjna that her son Yama would be god of death. This cursed Samjna no longer closed her eyes, but kept blinking. At this, Surya cursed Samjna that her daughter Yamuna would become a river. When Tapati turned into a river, Chaya was angered and vented her rage on the innocent Yama. Because he happened to be Yamuna's brother, Yama had already been resentful of Chaya at the way that she had been treating him and his sister. He now raised his foot to kill his stepmother. Chaya cursed Yama. "As soon as you put that foot down, insects will devour it," she said. "It will wither." Surya now happened to arrive on the scene, and Yama complained to his father that Chaya was always unfair towards him. "I may have committed a sin in attempting to kick my mother," said Yama. "But does a mother ever curse her own children? I fear that this is not our mother at all. And please do something about insects devouring my feet." "I fear that I cannot entirely negate the curse," replied Surya. "Let the insects suck the blood from your feet and devour the flesh. That will allow your mother's curse to take effect. But I bless you that nothing will actually happen to you, to your feet, despite what the insects do. It will not wither. As for my daughters Tapati and Yamuna, who have become rivers, I bless them that they will be sacred and wash away the sins of all living beings. Yamuna will be as sacred as the holy Ganga, and Tapati as sacred as the holy Narmada." Surya next takes a child with a trust. A mother should not discriminate among her children. Since she had done so, Surya threatened to curse her. But as soon as he proceeded to do this, Chaya's condition for keeping quiet was violated, and she blurted out the truth. She told Surya that she was not Samjna, but Chaya. Samjna had left. Surya went to his father-in-law Vishwakarma to look for a Samjna. Through his mental powers, Vishwakarma found out what had happened. He told Surya that Samjna had left him because she could not stand his radiance. "Let me refashion your body," offered Vishwakarma. "Let me turn you around on a lace so that I can slice off some of the excess energy. You will then be acceptable to Samjna." Surya agreed to submit to this ordeal. His body was anointed with a red sandalwood paste and flowers, and mounted on the lace. The excess energy was sliced off by Vishwakarma, and Surya became exceedingly handsome. This entire exercise was undertaken in the land of Shakadvipa. Vishwakarma also told Surya that his wife was in the land of Uttarakura, in form of a man. Surya adopted the form of a horse and joined Samjna there. As horses, Ashva, Surya and Samjna had two sons, named the Ashwini Kumaras. These sons were born from the mare's nostrils. The twins were split in the image of one another and extremely handsome. They became the physician of the gods. According to the Mahabharata, the two Ashwinis were the fathers of Nakula and Sahadeva, the Pandava prince born to Madri. After Surya and Samjna returning to their normal forms, they had another son named Revanta or Raivanta. This son was born astride a horse, and he was armed and armored. When he was born, Revanta became the king of the Guhyakas. In some parts of the BHAVISHYA Purana, Surya is extolled as a supreme god, and Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are delegated to subordinate forms derived from the sun god. Brahma himself tells the sage Yajnavalkya, Surya is the god who dispels the darkness of the whole world and lights up the three worlds. He is the light of everything. He is eternal, indestructible and omnipresent. He is founder, preserver and destroyer of the universe. He is the God of all gods, the Supreme One, whom no other god can equal. Surya promised salvation to those who give their concentrated adulation. In sun god's own words, bow to me, be my devotee, fill your minds with my thoughts. Men who worship me match with me at the end. The BHAVISHYA Purana describes three classes of followers or worshippers of Surya. These are the sun worshippers Magas, the fire worshipping Magas, and the sun worshipping Bhojakas. Who were the Magas? The priest, the BHAVISHYA Purana states that the letter Ma is the symbol of the sun god. One who meditates on Ma is called a Maga. A Maga is thus a sun worshipper. Surya is the supreme god of the Magas. They cook their meals for the sake of the sun and eat only after praying to the sun. They hail from Shakadvipa, which is located beyond Jambudvipa, on the other side of the great ocean, Lavana Samudra. Shakadvipa is surrounded on all sides by another great ocean, Ksharoda Samudra. Krishna married Jambavati, and Krishna and Jambavati had a son named Shamba. As a result of curse imposed on him by his father, Shamba contracted leprosy. Shamba was told that his leprosy would be cured if he worshipped the sun. He constructed a temple to the sun on the banks of the river Chandrabhaga. The priests of Shakadvipa were well versed in the worship of Surya. And Shamba invited them to come and act as priests at the temple that he had built. The sages of Shakadvipa took their meals in silence. Ordinary people from Shakadvipa were also silent at meal times. Maga Brahmins wore a sacred thread known as the Avyanga. Around their waist they grew beads. They did not touch carcasses and other unclean objects. The BHAVISHYA Purana asked Maga Brahmins to keep their mouths covered as a protection against uncleanliness. They should multiply in number and donate their earnings. They should eat fruits and vegetables as part of their diet. They must be fair and firm, balanced and controlled. The account of the birth of Maga Brahmins is as follows. There was a sage named Rijihva, who was a devotee of the fire god Agni. Rijihva's daughter was Nikshubha. Early Nikshubha had been identified with child. Surya secretly married Nikshubha and they had a son named Jarashabda. When the Jihva found out that Nishubha had married Surya without his knowledge, he was greatly angered. Also he did love his daughter. He cursed her. I curse you that your son will be unworthy, he said. In this, Nishubha began to pray to Surya, and the sun god appeared before her. I cannot undo your father's curse, said Surya. He is after all a sage. But I bless you that your son's descendant will study the Vedas and wear the sacred thread known as the Avyanga. No matter that happens to your son, his descendants will be worthy. These descendants of Jarashabda were the Maga Brahmans. The Bhavishya Purana also makes reverence to Magas, who worship the fire god Agni as a daily ritual. Scholars have suggested the Magas of the Bhavishya Purana were the Magi priests of ancient Iran. These people migrated to India at some early date, probably around the time of the Kushanas. So the word Iran does not occur in the Bhavishya Purana. Shakadvipa is generally taken to mean Iran. The ancient Iranians were worshippers of the fire and the sun. The Bhavishya Purana mentioned 5 kinds of fire, Agni. The Iranian sacred book Avesta also has 5 kinds of fire. The name of the prophet Zarathustra is closely akin to Jarashabda. The Persians, who were descended from the ancient Iranians, wear the sacred Avyanga thread around their waist. The Bhavishya Purana is a striking example of foreign influence being synthesized with and assimilated in the indigenous core of Hindu culture. What of the Bhajakas, also mentioned as sun worshippers in Bhavishya Purana? Like the Magas, they too hailed from Shakadvipa, but there were differences between the Magas and Bhajakas. The Bhajakas made daily offerings of food, bhojana to Surya. They also offered incense, garlands and other gifts. Bhajakas must study the Vedas, bathe thrice a day, pray to the sun god 5 times a day, and refuse food from a Shudra, the last of the 4 classes. Bhajakas should wear the sacred thread Avyanga at all times. It is on wearing the Avyanga that the Bhajaka attains purity and receives the sun god's blessings. A Bhajaka who does not wear it becomes impure and is no longer entitled to worship Surya. If he gives up the sacred thread, he loses good wealth, does not have progeny, and has no prospect of attaining heaven. The Bhavishya Purana states that the Avyanga incorporates all the sacred texts, all the gods, all beings, and all the worlds. Vishnu is always present at its base, Brahma at its middle, and Shiva at its upper end. From the text it seems that the Bhajakas had come to attain a higher status than the Magas. The devotion of Bhajakas is praised sky higher. As wife serves her husband, a pupil his preceptor, so the Bhajakas serve Surya. Just as there is no sacred text to equal the Vedas, no river to equal the holy Ganga, no ceremony to equal the Ashwamedha Yajna, horse sacrifice, no pleasure to equal the birth of a son, and no god to equal the sun god. There is no to equal the Bhajakas before Surya. The deeds of the Bhajakas should be treated as being performed by the great Surya himself. The Bhajakas came to be regarded as holy Brahmanas. No one could attain salvation without first becoming a Bhajaka. An account is also given of the birth of the Bhajakas. Prince Priyavrata was the son of Swayambhuva, Manu, and Priyavrata built a temple to the sun in Shakadvipa. He installed a golden idol of Surya in the temple. But try as he might, Priyavrata could find no one suitable enough to perform the religious rites at the temple. In sheer desperation, he began to pray to Surya. Surya was pleased at this prayers and appeared before Priyavrata. "What boon do you desire?" asked Surya. "Please grant me the boon that there may be priest at the temple," requested Priyavrata. The sun god agreed. He created 8 men out of his own body. 2 were born from the forehead, 2 from the arms, 2 from the legs, and 2 from the rays of the sun. These were the Bhajakas, and they were put in charge of the temple at Shakadvipa. A temple to Surya was also built at Kalapriya, on the southern bank of the river Yamuna. "I hope you have not forgotten Yama, the god of death. Yama's visage is dreadful. He inspires fear with his long beard and the terrible moustache. His leaves tremble with anger, and he wears a garland of red flowers. In Yama's court are also to be found his messengers and servants Yamadutta. They are armed with diverse weapons. Yama's chief of staff is Chitragupta. He maintains an account of human sins, papa, and store of merit, punya. Sins have to be paid for in hell, naraka, and meritorious deeds obtain the reward in heaven, svarga. The earth is a place of action, karma bhumi. The fruits of this action are not reaped on earth itself, but in hell or heaven, as the case may be. Only the meritorious go to heaven and are rewarded there, with an abundance of health, beauty, progeny, and entertainment. Before going to hell, sinners are taken to Yama's abode. The road is strewn with thorns, needles, and stones, and is infested with the poisonous snakes, venomous insects, and ferocious beasts. Sinners can find no shade to shelter them from the heat of the sun. Neither is there any water to slake their thirst. Yama's messengers drag the sinners along with their rude, paying scant attention to their pleas for mercy. Sinners are scolded and beaten by Yama's messengers. Vultures swoop down on them. Weapons lacerate them. When the sinners reach Yama's abode and are presented before him, the god of death assigns them to various hells depending on the nature of the sin committed by them. They are subjected to all sorts of terrible tortures in these hells. Some are boiled in oil, others are forced to embrace red-hot iron pillars. Still others are hurled into pits containing pus and urine. Some sinners are pierced with arrows, or their bodies are chopped into pieces with swords. Food and water are denied to them. Sometimes the sinners are made to roll on hot sand. At other times they are thrown down from the peaks of mountains. Darkness, filth, and stench make up the environment in which the sinners find themselves. There are different types of punishment for different types of sin. The part of the anatomy which may have performed the sinful act is subjected to torture. It may be cut off, boiled in oil, or simply fed to insects. The Yamaduttas do not tire of this text of torture, but relish it. Cries of help on the part of the sinners merely goad these tortures into redoubling their efforts. The BHAVISHYA Purana now has a section on the building of temples and icons. The act of building of a temple is wonderful in that it combines the punya obtained from performing a sacrifice with the punya obtained from constructing public works like wells. Those who erect temples attain heaven after their death. Gods prefer to stay in beautiful surroundings, amidst lakes, wells, flowers, and trees, and in places where the melodious notes of swans can be heard. Temples dedicated to gods should also therefore be aesthetically pleasing. They have to be constructed with care. All types of land are not suitable for building temples. Land where objects like head, bones, skull, lime, husk, and the like are found should be rejected as sites for temple. Ground that accepts all kinds of seeds and moreover makes the sound of cloud or drum when struck is acceptable. Different types of land are appropriate for the construction of temples by members of different classes, Varna. The Brahmanas constitute the first of the four classes, and rites is suitable for them. The second, third, and fourth classes are respectively Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras. Kshatriya should build temple on red S, Vaishya on yellow S, and Shudra on black S. The quality of the ground needs to be tested before a temple is built. To test this, a pit should be dug in the S. The pit should then be refilled with the S that has been dug out. If the pit is filled and there is some extra S that is left over, the land is of superior quality, Uttama, and a temple can be built on that land. If the pit is just filled and there is no extra S that is left over, the land is of medium quality, Madhyama. A temple could be built on the land, also such a construction is not recommended. If the excavated S cannot fill the pit, the land is of inferior quality, Adhama, and a temple should never be built on that land. Particular care must be taken in building a temple dedicated to Surya. The gate should also always face the east. If this not possible, the gate should face the west. There should be a base to the south of the main temple, and a place for worshipping the fire to the north. Temples dedicated to Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu should respectively be erected to the north, the east, and the west of Surya's temple. Shrines to minor divinity can be built all around. All of this constitutes the temple complex, which should also include a seat reserved for recital of the Puranas. Offerings arghya are to be made from two kupos, mandapa. The one on the right is designed for offerings made at sunrise, and the one on the left is designed for offerings made at sunset. According to Vishwakarma, the architect of the gods, there are 3,000 different kinds of structures that can be used for building temples. Also, all this would be too much to enumerate. The major ones are as follows. Meru, multi-storied with several peaks. Mandara, multi-storied with a single peak. Kailasha, multi-storied with a single peak. Vimana Chanda, multi-storied with several peaks. Nandana, multi-storied with no peaks or steeples. Samudra, single-storied and circularly. Vrita, single-storied and circularly. Vrisha, single-storied and circular. Mrigasimha, Padma, single-storied and shaped like a lotus flower. Garuda, shaped like the mythical bird Garuda. Nandi, shaped like a bull. Gajakunjara, shaped like the back of an elephant. Guharaja, like a cave. Hamsa, shaped like a swan in flight with an elliptical base. Kumbhakhata, with a ground plane shaped like a pot. Sarvatabhadra, 5-storied with many peaks and a square base. Chaturashra, Vavrikshat, Chatushkona, single-peaked and square-based. Ashtashra, single-storied and 8-sided. Shodashara, single-storied and with 16 sides. What about icons or image? Icons can be made out of gold, kanchana, silver, rajata, copper, tamra, ash, prithvi, stone, shailaja, wood, varkshi, and ashtadhatu. and oil made of bronze, copper and other metals. Icons of different materials are associated with different rewards. Wooden icons bring long life and riches. Clay icons bring pleasure in every world. Icons fashioned out of jewels and precious stones gain prosperity. Gold images give men strength, silver ones fame, and copper ones children. Opulence and landed property are the rewards obtained from worshipping a stone image. Wood for wooden image should be cut with great care. Astrologers should be consulted about the auspicious time for such a cutting. Ceremony should be performed. It is only after all this has been done that the individual should go out to gather the wood from the forest. Image should not be made out of defective or inferior quality wood. One should therefore avoid cutting the chimped tree growing in temple land or cremation ground, tree which shelter many birds, tree disfigured by storms, fire, lightning and elephants, tree with just one or two branches, trees which have dried up or in which decay has set in, trees that are brittle and trees that exude honey, ghee oil and blood when cut. Trees which provide wood appropriate for making image are Devadaru, a species of pine, sandalwood, bilva, a tree sacred to Shiva, amra, manga, nimba, neem, panasa, jackfruit, and rakta chandana, red sandalwood. An image of Surya should ideally be built as follows. The image should measure 84 angulis fingers. The face should be 12 angulis in length, of which 1/3 would be accounted for by the chin. The rest would be the nose and the forehead. The eyes should be 2 angulis, half of which would consist of the retina. The pupil must be 1/3 the size of the retina. The face has to be exactly 32 angulis. The length of the nose should equal that of the neck. The arms and the forearms, the legs and the thighs should be of equal length. The feet should be 6 angulis long and 4 angulis broad. The toes and the nails should be comparatively smaller. The shoulders, the chest, the thighs, the eyebrows, the forehead, the nose and the cheeks should be raised and uplifted. The eyes must be large, the lips red and the face like a lotus flower. The icon should be adorned with jewels, earrings, garlands, a crown and an avyanga. A lotus and golden necklace should be held in the hand. Far from extracting the favors of the gods, defective image invokes their wrath. If any part of the image is larger than it should be, danger threatens the kingdom. If any part of the image is smaller than it should be, the kingdom is ravaged by disease. If it is the belly that is too large, there will be hunger and famine. If the belly is too small, there will be widespread poverty. War is signified by a cracked belly and death by a broken one. If the image is not straight and bends to the right, lifespans are reduced. If the image leans to the left, separation of married couples are indicated. If the eyes of the image slant upwards, the marker of the image goes blind. If the eyes slant downwards, the marker of the image has to go through all sorts of the difficulties. One has to be perfectionist in so far as making image is concerned. To attain one's desires through the favor of the gods, humans can observe religious rites, vratas, periodically fast, upavasa, and donate alms, dana. A vrata is a holy resolve either to give up some activity or to follow some specific ritual regularly on a certain days or at certain intervals of time. Before observing a vrata, one should follow certain preliminaries, so as to purify oneself. One should rise early, brush one's teeth, offer flowers, fruit, incense and food to the idol and donate alms to Brahmanas. One should observe silence throughout the day on which the vrata is to be followed, control one's temper and check one's passions. Vratas owe their origin to sages and gods. It is they who instructed mankind to observe these religious rites in order to attain their aims. Subsequently, individuals who benefited from the observance of vratas passed on the knowledge and wisdom to others. That is what happened in the case of Shyamala. Shyamala, in the city of Mithila, there used to live a woman named Urmila. Urmila had a son and daughter. Since she found it difficult to make her living in Mithila, she decided to try her luck elsewhere. Urmila accordingly went to the city of Avanti and began to work in a Brahmana's house there. On one particular occasion, Urmila's children were so hungry that she had to steal some grains of wheat from her master's store. Urmila's daughter, Shyamala, grew up to be ravishing beauty and was married to Yama. Yama told Shyamala, "As my wife, you are free to roam everywhere in my house. However, this is 7 rooms which are taboo. Even for you, they are always kept locked. You must never enter them. Nor must you ever unlock the doors that lead into these rooms." In due course, Urmila died. Shyamala followed Yama's instruction to the letter for some time. She never sought to enter the rooms which were out of bounds, but eventually curiosity got the better of her. She opened one of the doors and peered into the room. What a sight met her eyes! She saw that inside the rooms Yama's servants were in the process of forcing her mother Urmila into a cauldron of boiling oil. Unable to bear the sight, Shyamala closed the door and opened the door to another room. In the second room she found her mother being crushed on a grindstone. Shyamala closed this door and opened the door to a third room. In this room, nails were being driven into her mother's forehead. In the fourth room, Urmila was being torn to pieces and eaten alive by a frost dog. Similar sights met Shyamala's eyes in the fifth, sixth and seventh rooms. Each room gave her a glimpse of the torture. Her mother was being subjected to in various hells. Shyamala went up to her husband and told him of her disobedience and of the shock that it had caused her. "Why is my mother being tortured thus?" he asked. "What is her sin? You have indeed been disobedient," replied Yama. "I had expressly asked you not to enter those 7 rooms. As for your mother, she is only being meted out the punishment that she deserves. She had stolen some wheat from the Brahmana who had been her master. The theft of a Brahmana's property is a terrible sin. One who steals from the house of Brahmana has to suffer in hell till eternity. I cannot bear to see my mother in hell," said Shyamala. "Please tell me how I can help you. How can I lessen her agonies?" "In her previous birth you observed the Budhashtami Vrata 8 times, replied Yama. "The punya from the observance still rests with you. It has not been exhausted. If you transfer that punya to your mother, she will be rescued from hell." Ashtami is the 8th lunar day. A religious rite observed on Ashtami day is known as Ashtami Vrata. When the day also happens to be a Wednesday, Budhavara, the rite is referred to as a Budhashtami Vrata. Shyamala followed Yama's advice. Urmila was not only relieved from hell and the torment there, but she was also assigned a permanent place in heaven in a rejuvenated form. Such are the wonderful effects of observing Budhashtami Vrata. The river Vetravati flows alongside the city of Vidisha. A Brahmana once came upon a ghost, Preta, lying on the sandy banks of the Vetravati. It was summer and the sands were hot. The ghost was being roasted by the hot sands. There were boils all over the ghost's body, and he was crying out in unbearable thirst. The Brahmana felt moved. "Why are you being tortured thus?" he asked. "I used to be Vaishya named Shilabhadra in my early life," replied the Preta. "I lived in the city of Vidisha. I was a rich man and looked after my family well. I took care of all my wealth, but I had a powerful attachment to material possession and did not donate any else to Brahmanas. I did not show them any respect, neither did I worship the gods. I never showed any consideration to those who were not my immediate family members, since I never did any good to those who were not my relations. I am being punished after my death. I have been left here to roast on the banks of the Vetravati. I can bear this agony no more. Please help me to redeem myself. I observed the Shukra Dvadashi Vrata 10 years ago," replied the Brahmana. "The punya that I derived has not yet been exhausted. I will transfer that punya to you so that you may be relieved." Dvadashi is a 12th lunar day, and a religious rite observed on that day is known as Dvadashi Vrata. When the day also happens to be a Friday, Shukravara, the rite is known as the Shukra Dvadashi Vrata. Apart from fasting, the rite involves the worship of Vishnu. The ghost acquired the Brahmana's remaining punya and ascended state to heaven. Such are the wonderful effects of observing Shukra Dvadashi Vrata. The BHAVISHYA Purana mentions many other vratas as well, also it does not always specify what these individual rites involve. The Upkhai Dvadashi Vrata brings more punya than does a visit to sacred tirthas, place of pilgrimage like Gaya, Pushkara, Varanasi and Prayaga. The observance of Etilaka Vrata involves wearing Etilaka mark on one's forehead. Enemies and evil spirits flee when they see the mark of the Tilaka. And Jatismara Vrata requires the observance of silence till the moon rise. Different gods have to be simultaneously worshipped. Jatismara is a person who can recollect the incidents of early lives. A person who faithfully observes this particular religious rite is blessed with this gift. One does not always have to observe a vrata for the punya to be acquired. Even if one reads or listens to the vidhi, procedural instruction of a vrata, punya can be gleaned. Such is, for example, the case with Raja Kalyani Vrata, in which the goddess Parvati has to be bathed in the form of an idol in a grita, clarified butter, and worshipped. A person who listens to the vidhi of this vrata or persuades others to do the same gets to live in a Parvati's abode. All these sins are immediately forgiven. In Arhanarishwari, vrata involves the worship of Shiva and Parvati. One who listens to the vidhi for this vrata or makes others to do the same gets to live in Indra's abode. One who reads out or listens to the vidhi of Mandara Shakti Vrata is absolved of all sins. Such is the power of vratas, but the vratas that is incompletely or half-heartedly observed arouse the wrath of the gods. If such displeasure has indeed been caused, the wrath of the gods can be appeased by observing Akhanda Dvadashi Vrata. This requires the worship of Vishnu with offerings and incantation. A large number of vratas are reserved exclusively for women. For example, women can acquire the punya obtained through an Ashvamedha yajna, by observing the Ananta Tritya Vrata in the winter. In observing such vratas, married women must wear red clothing, widows must wear yellow clothing, and unmarried women must wear white clothing. Women can attain salvation moksha by worshipping Vishnu and feeding brahmanas in the course of an Aranya Dvadashi Vrata. There are some vratas that are specifically connected with the sun. Some of these are as follows. Abhaya Paksha Saptami Vrata. Saptami is the 7th lunar day, and it is on this day that his rite is observed. The sun god is worshipped and brahmanas are fed in the winter months of Pusha. The reward for the observance of this rite is the attainment of the 4 human goals of dharma, righteousness, artha, wealth, kama, which is desired, and moksha, salvation. Abhaya Saptami Vrata Shukla Paksha is a lunar fortnight during which the moon waxes, and this rite is observed in Shukla Paksha during the months of Shravana. As a reward, one gets to live in Surya Loka, the abode of the sun god after death. Anantas Saptami Vrata. This rite is observed on the lunar day Tithi known as Shukla Bhadrapada. That occurs when it is Shukla Paksha and the star Nakshatra Bhadrapada is in the sky. As in the early case, one gets to live in Surya Loka as a reward. An image of the sun god has to be bathed in clarified butter and milk and worship it. On the day in which the rite is observed, one should not sleep during the day or associate with the evil people. The reward is a residence in Surya Loka. The details, Kamata Saptami Vrata. The details are not given, but the rite is held on Saptami day. Kamala Shakti Vrata. The details are not given, but the rite is observed on the 6th lunar day, Shasthi. Maha Saptami Vrata. Mahayajna Mahajaya Saptami Vrata. The details apart from the Saptami part are again not given. Martanda Saptami Vrata. The details not given. Martanda is another name for God Surya. The rite is observed on 7th day, lunar day. Durgandha Nashana Vrata. This rite enables one to eliminate bad body odor. Sris preferred by Surya have to be worshipped on a specific day named Jyeshka Shukla. This means that the day will be in the Shukla Paksha in the month of Jyeshka. This would roughly correspond to early June. Hridaya Aditya Vrata. The sun god has to be worshipped in a manner not specified. The reward is the achievement of worldly desires. The details are not given. Jaya Vrata. Kamada Vrata. This too requires the worship of the sun god and enables one to attain one's desires. Mandara Shasthi Vrata. This is observed in the 6th lunar day, Shasthi, in Shukla Paksha, and in the month of Magashirsha. The sun is worshipped with flowers from the Mandara tree. Properly accomplished, this vrata guarantees that one is born in a good family in one's next birth. Nanda Saptami Vrata. This is held on Saptami, 6th lunar day, and no further details are given. Sharkara Saptami Vrata. This is observed on Saptami in the month of Ashvina. The observer bathes in milk and dress in white. The sun is worshipped and brahmanas are fed and donated alms. Sarvartha Saptami Vrata. This is observed in Krishna Paksha, the fortnight during which the moon wanes, in the month of Magashirsha. The observer forsakes the use of salt and oil, worship Surya and donate alms to Brahmanas. This leads to the attainment of heaven. Trivarga Saptami Vrata. This is observed in Shukla Paksha in the month of Falguna. It leads to the avoidance of all contact with evil people. Papanashinis Saptami Vrata. Once worship the sun god on Saptami several times and it's freed from one's sins. Bhadrapada Shukla Paksha Vrata. This is recommended for a poor person who wishes to become rich. It involves the control of one's sense and anger and the worship of Surya. It is observed in Shukla Paksha when the nakshatra Bhadrapada is in the sky. Rahasya Saptami Vrata. On Saptami one worships the sun god and avoids oil, blue clothes and meat. One successful observance, one's material desires are fulfilled. Radha Saptami Vrata. That is observed on Saptami in Shukla Paksha in the month of Margashirsha. The sun god and his chariot and chariote are worshipped. Brahmanas are fed and donated alms. This enables one to ascend to a higher class in one's next birth. Samkranti Vrata. This ensures long life and good health. Surya is worshipped, Brahmans are fed and donated alms. Rogya Aditya Vrata. Rogahara Aditya Vrata. The observer lives on a diet of milk, sleeps on the bare ground, and worships Surya with the diverse flowers. This guarantees that he is cured of all disease. Saptami Vrata. This requires the worship of Surya on the 7th day of every month. It cures the observer of all disease. Surya Vrata. This too leads to the avoidance of disease and requires a simple worship of the sun god. Siddha Radha Saptami Vrata. Through the worship of Surya, this grants victory. Vratas which involves the worship of the gods or the other than Surya are also enumerated in great number in the BHAVISHYA Purana. Some of them are as follows. Ananta Chaturdashi Vrata. Chaturdashi is the 14th day of the lunar fortnight. On that day, an image of Vishnu is based in clarified butter and worshipped. This enables one to obtain versatile children. In an alternate form of this vrata, an image of Shiva is worshipped in Shukla Paksha when the nakshatra Bhadrapada is in the sky. This leads to fulfillment of all desires. Bhishma Panchaka Vrata. This is observed in Shukla Paksha in the month of Kartika. Liquor, meat and falsehood are avoided and Vishnu is worshipped. This vrata is observed when one's need to get absolved from the sin of killing Brahmana. Ashoka Vrata. The Ashoka tree is worshipped so as to eliminate all grief. Goshpada Tritya Vrata. This is observed on Tritya, the 3rd day of the lunar fortnight, in Shukla Paksha, and when the nakshatra Bhadrapada is in the sky. Kaulas are worshipped. Oil, salt, and all cooked food is prohibited. This enables the observer to attain Goloka. Goloka is literally the heavenly abode of cows, but is identified with Vishnu residence. Gavatsa Dvadashi Vrata. A cow and a calf are worshipped on Dvadashi, the 12th lunar day, during Krishna Paksha in the month of Kartika. Celibacy is observed and the worshipper sleeps on the bare floor. This too enables one to attain Goloka. Govinda Dvadashi Vrata. This is observed on the 12th lunar day during Shukla Paksha and in the month of Pusha. Cows are fed, the observer lives on milk and abjures the use of salt. Kukuti Vrata. Shiva and Parvati are worshipped when the nakshatra Bhadrapada is in the sky. Provided that one combines this worship with the wearing of the sacred thread, the premature death of one's children is avoided. Mandhuka Tritya Vrata. One on the third lunar day, Tritya, and in the month of Falguna. The observer worships the goddess Gauri and the Madhuka tree so as to obtain a son. Naga Panchami Vrata. On Panchami, the fifth lunar day, the observer fasts for a day. He is an base image of snakes Naga in milk and worships them so as to obtain protection from snake bites. Ulka Dvadashi Vrata. This is observed on the 12th lunar day in the month of Margashirsha. Vishnu is worshipped so as to cure disabilities like deafness and dumbness, and disease like leprosy. Vinayaka Chaturthi Vrata. The god Ganesha Vinayaka is worshipped on Chaturthi, 4th lunar day. The observer eats sesame seeds and makes offerings to the fire. This vrata has the effect of removing all impediments. Shanti Vrata. This involves the worship of Narayana Vishnu in Shukla Paksha in the month of Kartika. In addition, one must stop eating all manner of sour objects for a period of 1 year. This vrata restores family harmony. Saraswati Vrata. The observer has to periodically fast for a period of 16 months and worship Saraswati, the goddess of learning. This observance allows one to become learned. Ashunya Shayana Vrata. The observer periodically fasts for a period of 4 months and offers sweets, seasonal fruits to different gods. This ensures that a couple stays ever united. Avi Yoga Tritya Vrata. This vrata also ensures marital harmony, and it's observed on the 3rd lunar day, during the Shukla Paksha, and in the month of Margashirsha. Different gods are worshipped in the course of the observance. Vata Savitri Vrata. Beginning on the 13th lunar day in Shukla Paksha, when the nakshatra Bhadrapada is in the sky, one fasts for 3 days and recounts the story of Savitri and Satyavana. This story can be found in other Puranas and in the Mahabharata. Savitri's husband Satyavana had died. Savitri convinced Yama of her devotion and persuaded the god of death to bring her dead husband back to life. The observance of this vrata guarantees marital harmony. Yama Vrata. The god Yama is worshipped so as to fulfill all worldly desires. In addition to religious rites, vratas, the BHAVISHYA Purana has a lot to say on the donation of alms, dana. Om Shakti Hrim, Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Tat Sat.